Now, today is one of those days I'm rarely out that much because of my allergies and stuff. But today is October the 15th, and I'm actually waiting inside of my vehicle for our congregation meeting to start. So, when I put the recent information on my blog and on Google Plus and YouTube and Facebook and stuff, especially Google Plus and YouTube, but not too much Facebook. It's very difficult to explain how, this is the second hotel I've been living in, and it is difficult to be in a situation where you're living off a fixed income. I have bad credit, so that doesn't qualify me to get into an apartment. But pretty much is hard because you're being biased against and discriminated against because of your income. Also, this past week, I was at my regular congregation meeting on Thursday of last week. When I got back to my motel room, I was looking at some of the jw.org of the relief efforts for some of the brothers and sisters who's been affected by the hurricanes and the earthquakes. And it put me in a better frame of mind not to be so focused on my own problems as far as my situation, my living situation here in Cleveland, Ohio is concerned. The elders are aware of my situation, and one sister said if I needed some help from her, whatever it was, she could help me. But it's also very stressful. It's a lot of strain on me, as you can see. I look terrible. I got up this morning and I had a little bout with my allergies again this morning, where my sinus was so bad. I had to get up and drink some water, take an allergy pill, and I got up and got me a can of Progressive soup and heated it up in the microwave, and I barely got enough sleep, maybe from 4 o'clock in the morning to about 6 o'clock until I left to get to the meeting so I didn't miss a meeting. So the second hotel, it's a lot less expensive, but they're going to remodel the building, and it's the Economy Inn and Suites on Northfield Road in Cleveland, Ohio, in about 2 months. They're going to remodel that hotel, which is Building A, which is where I'm at in room 210, and in 2 months. But I do have some money set aside, though. The problem is, anything that goes wrong, I don't have a whole lot of other financial resources. And plus that, with the administration of the President of the United States, there's been a vote to cut people off their food stamps. So that's going to impact and affect a lot of people, including servants and worshipers of Jehovah God and those who are not worshipers and servants of Jehovah God. So I want all of you to be aware that these critical last days, as the Bible's talking about, it can bring on a lot of stress and strain and anxiety and fear and worry and absolute panic. Even though I know that I do have some issues with throwing my burdens and trust upon Jehovah completely, because every time something goes wrong, I always seem to focus on the negative instead of the positive. When I got to the assembly this past summer, I was staying at the Express Inn, which is not too far from where I'm living at temporarily. But unfortunately, you're dealing with ungodly people, worldly people who do not have any moral values at all. And when I said I prayed to get to that assembly, I literally had to make it my effort through my efforts to know to get to that assembly and not miss the assembly. And the hardest part was, once the assembly was over with, leaving that particular motel because it was getting so expensive. And it's very hard because I am a single sister. I do not have any children. I am not a widow. I've never been married. I do not have children. My father passed away last year, leaving a house that I cannot put in my name because I'm on survivor's benefits. The house is overrun with 2 infestations, rodents and roaches. My father left the house in such bad report, and it's got some bad infestation and violations. I am currently trying to manage to pay the water and sewer and the utilities, and I also have to manage to pay somebody who's a neighbor around the block, so to speak, to come and take care of the yard and keep the trash and debris out. But I cannot physically live in that house right now until I can get someone to help me to clean up the house, fix what's wrong with the house, and find out what happened. Did the rats bite through the wires? Did the wires short out? Or is there just bad fuses? Well, whatever the case is, that is why I am making this video, because we all are going to go through some difficult things, and I am definitely one of those persons. I have never gone through such a circumstance in my life. 5 years ago, I lost my second apartment. When I lost my second apartment, I ran into the same obstacles of trying to find shelters and adequate houses, temporary house and temporary shelters. Ran into the same problem. The same problem is magnified worse 5 years later because of my credit and my income. Most of the time, you can't get into an apartment because they're too expensive, and then you have to look at security deposit, credit application fees and stuff. Excuse me. And unfortunately, it is a form of discrimination, and it is a type of trial and burden and stuff and hardship. I do have my name currently on the list for CMHA, but that's going to take a while because the waiting list for low-income housing, even through HUD or CMHA, it is quite backed up. But these motels and hotels, as a rule, they're just as bad as these property management groups or apartments owned by these landlords. It can get to the point where, like right now, I have some money put aside, and that's probably about the one thing I can say I have in my favor financially. But as far as the other situation is concerned, how all this happened was unforeseen occurrences did happen 5 years ago with my own personal circumstances, and again last year when my father passed, and then after he passed, I was heating some food up, and then all of a sudden all the lights just went out in the house. The inside of the house looks like a hurricane hit it. That's because the rodents and stuff are ravaging through the house. I don't have the means to do a whole lot. I can't go to a bank and get a loan to fix that house, or to just go in and get somebody to fix it up and take care of what's wrong with it. But since I cannot transfer the house into my name, I took on the responsibility of taking care of the water and sewer and the utilities. Since my father had the homestead and he was a non-witness, I left the house and stuff and everything, except for my gas bill and the phone bill. Those things are left in my father's name. And what money I do have accessible to take care of those things with my income as well, that's gonna get tapped out pretty quick. So any of you who are watching this video, looking at this video, remember, yes, I have contacted the elders. I let them know what the situation is, but a lot of our brothers and sisters and elders have obligations and responsibilities too. But my heart does go out to the brothers and sisters who have suffered from the earthquakes and the hurricanes recently that has happened in the United States, and outside of the United States too. And I just hope that all of us prays for each other locally and those who have been affected about any type of disaster, hurricane, earthquakes, or unforeseen occurrences that may befall any one of us.